There we go. Chris, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this Q&A with me, man. So for those of you guys watching on Facebook, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, I've been working with Chris for the past 12 weeks. We've been working on mostly weight loss and health and fitness goals there. And I want him to kind of speak on his experience because it may be something that you guys can relate to out there if you're watching this. So Chris, why don't you go ahead and like tell them a little bit about your background in terms of like work, family life, like lifestyle and that kind of thing. Just because I know people can relate to that aspect.
Sure. So, from a fitness perspective, probably, in my 20s, about 10, 15 years ago, I was in the gym a lot. And then, life gets in the way, careers. So I'm in real estate and builder and mortgage side of things. So pretty hectic and hours are all over the place. And then small young children, a 6-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl. So again, been about 10, 15 years since I've been in the gym. I've dabbled around since then off and on, but really hardcore, haven't really had any type of program for that long. And now that's where we're at with our 2 young children and married now for 8 years. So,
yeah. So would you say like making the time was something you probably struggled with before?
Yes. And even being self-employed, just, running the businesses, making the time was the hardest thing, to prioritize it above all else, your health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what made you want to like start doing that? Because I know when we talked a while back, you were kind of in this place, in this phase of your life where you're like, man, I got the 3 businesses and I kind of want to systemize things to where I don't have to put so much of myself into work anymore. And I can kind of get back to doing the things that matter to me, like, family and health and things like that. Yeah. What was it that inspired you to like actually make the change at that point?
So I would say, just the kids getting a little bit older, more manageable around the house. I knew I wanted to, and we actually took a trip earlier this year. We went hiking, and I carried my daughter. She's 4, and carried her for about 5 miles. And I was like, you know what? I need to put my fitness first and put that first. And I've always been told, if you do that, then it'll help in your businesses and your professional career. I didn't really believe it. And I've seen the fruits of that firsthand, that, your mind is just in a totally different place when you got that going for you. And it hasn't negatively affected my productivity. It's actually increased it, which is kind of, an oxymoron or countercultural when you think about it. It's like, okay, I took a little bit of time away from when I could be quote unquote working and did that for my fitness. And it's definitely helped in all aspects.
Yeah, that definitely stands out to me, especially about your situation too, because you, like you said, you're cut from that cloth where it's like, oh, the 100-hour work week, and it's just like a badge of honor, right? It's like something you're like praised to do, and it's almost like you can feel a little bit guilty about stepping away from that to do other things, and it is countercultural. But I think people have this fear that like time away from work to go do something else like this is going to be irrelevant, and on the other end, it's become a cliche, like, oh, health is wealth, and this, that, and the third. But I'm glad to see that it's paid off for you in this case. So where would you say that you were at in terms of your health, like a few months ago? I think we started working, might've been after Labor Day, like early September. Where would you say you were at in terms of like how you were feeling, how your energy was, just health and fitness on that side of things?
So it was kind of in the background. And I've gone through like ebbs and flows with dieting for a few years, and crash diets we've talked about for doing 90-day, not any real program, just doing it myself and kind of being self-motivated to make it that long. So at the time I was probably 3 months into like not really a gym. So I had joined a gym the year prior to us starting this program, and didn't really go in as much as I should have, even though it's really close to the house. Then I got the at-home work equipment, wasn't really using it. So, I mean, it was on my mind. I wasn't doing it. And, after that trip with the family, I kind of was like, you know what, not that I couldn't do it. We made it the 5 miles, but I was like, I could be in better shape. I didn't have to be as sore. And I looked at the pictures and I wasn't happy with the way I looked. So I was like, you know what, and that's why I reached out to you, because I know we talked probably, a year and a half prior. And that's really why I reached out to you. Is honestly, I did, I checked your background from your online presence and things like that. And you didn't try to sell me or chase me down back then when we kind of connected just by chance on Facebook. And, I like that. It wasn't shoved down my throat, and
Right.
it gave me the opportunity to come to you. So I was in a place of, I knew I wanted it as far as to better my fitness journey. I didn't know how that was going to happen or what that looked like. So I just wanted to connect with somebody that's a professional in the field and obviously knows their craft and have the same foundation and morals that I can connect with and relate with.
Right. Yeah, I do think we agree on a lot of, like, when we talked on the phone at first, I could see that we're aligned in a lot of our philosophies, and especially you coming from a place of feeling like maybe you tried everything and, not necessarily programs, but just different crash diets that you've tried that didn't work. And I could tell you were looking for something more sustainable there, and even just the work philosophy made sense. But yeah, that's interesting. I was going to ask you that as well. Like, were you a little bit skeptical at first? Because, like, for all you know, I'm just some guy on Facebook. Like, and I know there's a lot of online coaches out there. Were you a little bit skeptical at first? Just like, I know this guy, and maybe there's a little fear stepping into something like this.
I mean, before actually looking you up and looking at kind of your background and watching the videos of you training personally, like you said, you type in the word coach, and even being in real estate, like it's just crazy that anybody can be a real estate coach, yet they've never even heard the word real estate in their life, So,
Sure.
yeah, with the online stuff and everybody wanting to be a quote unquote coach in the field, you definitely have to do your homework and make sure you're working with somebody that knows their stuff. And you're obviously, you're still into, it's not like you're, you've trained and now you're out of it and you're just coaching because you're still training yourself,
so working out.
Yeah, no, and that's why I'm big on, like, your education, the science behind it, and that's what makes a difference. I always tell everybody, like, I'm not a salesman per se. I like the product to sell itself, and if I believe in what I'm selling, then it should be an easy sale. So
it shouldn't feel like super salesy
exactly.
if everything is aligned. Yeah, dude, I can't imagine how that goes in real estate. You got real estate coach. It's such a low barrier to entry to be a coach. There's no like exam to take. Like, exactly. I can't even imagine how much bad stuff happens because there's like money on the line. Like, at the end of the day, I'm helping you with your health, but like, man, you invest a lot of money and there's deals on the line and somebody's instructing you to work on a deal and it falls through or things just don't go as planned and you make a really bad mistake, man. That's expensive.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, you can turn on HGTV and see all these people, and then they get involved with programs. I've had people come to me that $40,000 down the drain, their life savings, because they got into some program telling them they could do such and such with real estate, and it's just not feasible. So,
geez, man, yeah, so I definitely understand why people are always skeptical. But moving on to like more of the journey side of things. So you told us where you were. I know you really struggled to make the time. I know you really struggled to, I guess, let go of the guilt at first. It's something we talk about from time to time, but like the guilt of like, I probably should be working. That was definitely a big mindset shift for you. But what would you say are some things you've learned about yourself and you've learned about fitness and health in general, like along the way, like just the way we've been doing things?
I would say that the biggest thing was like, and I would say it's been my problem for why it's only been 90 days that I've ever been able to do something and kind of fall off and things like that, is we get ourselves so worked up and overwhelmed before we actually start acting that you kind of talk yourself out of things. So one of the big key things was, I happen to personally work out at 5 a.m. now. As we've talked, I never thought I was a morning person. I was like, yeah, right, 5 a.m. is not going to work. It's been honestly easy. We've talked about, but that's because we've regulated to make sure that I'm intentional about my sleep. So then it makes it easier to be the morning person and have that energy and burst at that time in the morning. Yeah. So I would say that is the biggest thing, is like, get out of your own head. Don't, talk yourself out of something before you even try. If it's something that you really truly want, and I really truly want the goal and the end result, I'll find a way and I will, but I have to have somebody, you're the expert, So we talked about the sleep and how that plays into, your whole day. And then now I get to see, man, this is really, made me have a lot of energy, more enjoyable to be around, get more stuff done when I am working. So I'm more productive during those hours. And so I can create margin to make my health something that it is. And that's what we talk. If for some reason there's some by chance I have to miss that 5 a.m., I definitely make sure I get it in that day, because that's something I can't miss.
Right.
It is the fitness. And we talk about, it wasn't a drastic diet change. We always talk about it's the budget. It was actually tracking the budget of what I'm eating versus changing what I'm eating, which was a big game changer from what my stuff I've tried in the past. Like I've done a lot of the cleanses to get started, and none of that is sustainable. For me personally, it hasn't been sustainable. And so tracking versus changing really was a difference too.
Couple big things stand out. So for those of y'all who don't understand what he's talking about when he says budgeting, I pretty much have Chris track his food, just keep an inventory. Nothing crazy. We're not flipping his whole world upside down. We're not telling him he can't eat this and he can't eat that, or putting him on a strict meal plan, because I know he travels a decent amount. Like he wants to hang out with his family. He wants to be able to enjoy himself. Holidays are coming up. I'm sure like you want to enjoy good food. So we're not doing any of that. But I think just the simple aspect of him being aware of what he's eating has helped. And when he talks about budgeting, he means treating your food objectively, treating it like a budget. And that's just a concept that resonates with him. And so he was able to have a lot of success with that. Like from day one, it clicked. Oh, it's just a budget. It's not like this fad dieting thing. So I am glad to hear that hit home. And the first point is it's almost funny. Like you said, we get all worked up and anxious about, what we think we can't do or what we think is going to be difficult. And it's like you said, you weren't a morning person initially, or you didn't realize you were. But dude, you've probably been one of my most consistent clients. Like you haven't missed it. I don't think you've missed a single workout. I think you've drank a gallon of water every single day. I don't think you've missed a single day of tracking in 90 days. And at this point, we're past that 90-day point where you say you routinely kind of fall off with this type of thing. So your level, I think that just making that big decision up front, man, your commitment has been there. You've been very consistent with all this stuff all the way through. And it's just funny because, man, you psych yourself up and we get all anxious anticipating something. The anticipation always ends up being worse than what it actually is. Man, once you get involved in it, it's like, oh, it's not so bad. It's very manageable for you.
And drinking a gallon a day, I've never tried that in my life. And I thought, I was like, man, it's gonna be so hard. How am I gonna do this? It's gonna be, and it became second nature. Now it's just, for me, I use a 32-ounce cup and it's 4 of those a day, and that's all I got to worry about.
Yeah. So. Yeah, like something like this, right? It's much more manageable. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people say that at first, like with a lot of this stuff. Oh, I could never track my food. That's just like too tedious. Like it's just one more thing to remember. Oh, I can never get up that early. I can never drink a gallon of water. But when you realize those are the only things you've got to do on a daily basis, and you start to see things happen, it's like, oh, it's not so bad once you get involved, right? So, I love your level of consistency, man. Like, yeah, sure, I help, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're the one doing the work. Like you're the one showing up every day consistently for yourself. So, gotta respect that effort, especially coming from somebody who said couldn't see themselves doing that before. So that's what you learned. Where would you say that you are now in terms of like energy, confidence, health right now? Like I don't even think I talked about this in the beginning, but I think you lost closer to 10, 15 pounds, couple inches off the waist.
I think it's about 14 pounds exactly from, it might've been a few days before we started, or when I started tracking, we kind of had initial conversations. It's been about 14 pounds and I think 3 inches off the waist. Mm-hmm. Definitely energy levels are way better. And it's not like I hunger for things. I'm able to eat. I don't feel deprived. And obviously the weights are going up, as far as lifting more weight and trying to push on each exercise. Even leg day is enjoyable, which I know.
God, I can't believe we're saying that.
And
the first week you were mad about that leg day, man.
And then cardio fitting that in, and I think it's all, generally encompassing. It's all been great, and I'm excited to be a part of it and to see that, I knew what I wanted. I didn't know how bad I wanted it until, even that we're at this point. And I would say for anybody that's thinking about getting started, or that's been just toying with the idea, is truly know how bad you want that, and let that kind of phase out the anxiety and the overwhelm, like the mental block, because that's when you're actually going to see the results, is getting rid of those mental blocks and truly knowing exactly how bad you want that, and why you want that, and your why, I think is your biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause if you think back to that's a great point, because if you think back to like our initial conversations, majority of the things we talked about were regarding commitment level. It wasn't too much into like strategies and X's and O's. Like that's the easy part. Dude, if you're committed and you actually want this, we can always find a way. There's a million and one strategies we could really implement to get you to your goals. It's just a matter of, hey, are you going to show up consistently for yourself? Is this something you really want? Like, are you ready to take action? Like, if you're coachable and you do those things, you're going to be fine. And obviously, you've been a prime example of that. But yeah, now I appreciate you clearing that up as well about the energy as well, because I noticed you pointed out earlier, like, okay, the energy is helping you with your work and it's helping you with mental clarity. And I think a couple big mistakes that a lot of guys make when they're trying to like lose weight or get in shape is, number one, not realizing how these things could have synergy. It's kind of like an either or concept. Like I could either have my career, my empire, my family, or I could have my health, as if we can't have them I guess synergistic, if that's a word, have synergy between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like those things are going to complement each other in a nice balance. And like you're talking about saving time at work and being more productive there. But also another big mistake I've noticed people make is sometimes they'll, like, you've lost 15 pounds. Sometimes people will lose 15 pounds at the expense of their energy. Like they do the crash diet, they do the keto, whatever, they cut their carbs, or they just doing endless amounts of cardio in the gym, working way too hard, not sleeping enough, right? Just trying to get it all done in one go. And then they notice, yeah, you may have lost weight and you may have done it fast, but you're losing muscle, or you're not building muscle, or you feel like crap because you're just exhausted and you did it too fast and you're not fueling your body properly. So I think, like, yeah, we've taken like a nicer, slower approach, but hey, the results have been consistent because you've been consistent. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you clearing that up as well.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely it. Like in the past, even when the pandemic started, it was, hit the cardio, and it was cardio only. So it was, the muscle mass was leaving, and it wasn't really how I wanted to look. Yeah, I lost weight, and the scale told me I lost weight, but it wasn't what I wanted. And now it's more definition and more
Right.
defining the muscles while we're losing weight and losing the inches. So I definitely know we're on a way better track in the long term. I want it to be, a lifetime change, something that I don't want to come and go, and that's kind of the track I think we're on, and that's why we partnered up, is because that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like once you tried everything, it's like, well, what do I got to lose doing it what do I got to lose playing the long game? That's how it works in business and life. It's like, I guess the same thing here. I can't just do the 30-day, 90-day, whatever the case is. But yeah, that's a good point about the muscle building as well. Cause I remember you came in and asked me initially, like, hey, is it possible to like focus on like losing fat and building muscle? Like, yes and no in a way, but I think a lot of people think that you have to, when you're in weight loss mode, you've got to be doing a lot of HIIT workouts, like a ton of cardio, cutting your carbs. And then when you bulk and try to put on muscle, it's the opposite. And that's not necessarily the case. Like you've noticed, workouts are very similar, whether we're losing weight or trying to put on muscle. We can actually simultaneously accomplish those things. And that's why, as you're losing weight, you are starting to tone up, because we are doing some type of strength training as we're, losing that weight. So, it's nice to kill two birds with one stone. And we end up saving time that way. And you end up liking the way you look, because it's not like, oh, well, I lost the weight, but I don't like my physique anymore. I lost my muscle. So I see you went down that path before, but I'm glad we're incorporating these things now to kind of accomplish both goals.
Yeah, I mean, because for me, it was that's just not what I was going for, and I don't want to, get a coach, honestly, and do just cardio, and that wasn't what I was looking for. So, yeah. So I had to make sure that the program was fitting, and and I would say what you were talking about, not having simultaneous, that's exactly how I was wired. Like it had to be either or and things like that. Yep. Now, and I was so worried about being that guy that worked all the way up till retirement, you retire and then you pass away a month later. That's my biggest fear. And so kind of keeping the health simultaneous, you don't become that cliche and the thing in the movies, like the guys that you have to give up either or. And as you said, you put it perfectly. Like that's not how it has to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like people don't realize that it doesn't have to be that way because they've been conditioned by whoever, like bosses at work, the five people that hang around at work in their industry instead of the top 5% of their industry who don't think that way. Like anybody who's a circle of influence to those people, it's just what we've been taught, and I wouldn't think any differently if no one had taught me differently. Right. So yeah, dude, I totally understand the cliches. And I don't think you've ever voiced that to me in terms of like, oh, that's my biggest fear. Like that. I don't think that's ever come up, but yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's not going to be you, but we're in a good spot with everything now. Do you have a go-to meal that you eat just to get a visual of like, okay, this guy's not just eating chicken, rice, and broccoli like every single day, and it's super boring. Like, do you have like a go-to meal or just some things you'd like to eat on some staples, I guess we can call
them? Yeah, I would say kind of we talked about it because the one thing we are tracking is my protein. I never knew how much I liked the Greek yogurt, and even cottage cheese with fruit. But I enjoy chicken. I only change it up just because I don't want to stop enjoying it. But
right.
My wife and I toy with different types of fish fillet, or if we do sushi, we'll do different types of fish. Shrimp is a big one I like. So really all the stuff that I like to eat on a normal basis, I'm just able to alternate it more and incorporate it more. So that's what I would say. It's kind of the seafood shellfish portion of things is big.
Yeah, so you like eating cleaner anyway. Like you don't mind eating like the quote unquote healthier foods, right? Yep. No, that's good. And I do think it's super helpful. I want to note like the fact that your wife helps you with everything. Like in terms of she does help with meal prep and she helps with cooking and she's very supportive of this whole journey in general. She doesn't get mad that you're weighing your food. Like she's very supportive of this whole thing. So I think that helps. Like when you just have somebody around you in general, whether it's a wife or, any type of spouse or siblings or whoever you live with in your circle of influence that supports your journey, doesn't try to get you to sabotage or go outside of what you're doing. That's always going to help as well.
Yeah. And like we spoke, and I'll tell anybody that watches this is, it didn't start out like that because, I've been known to do these 90-day programs and it is, it's an investment. So it was something we definitely had to connect on. And I had to kind of, win her trust that it wasn't something I was going to try for 90 days and then that's it. Or, I'm the one I'm the sucker that goes into the gym and they say, oh, if you pay 3 years up front, you save this much money, and you pay for 3 years and you go for a week. So yeah. I've done that to her for 8 years now. So I definitely don't blame her for any skepticism she had. But once she saw me tracking and she saw kind of how intentional I was being, the sleep pattern, paying attention to that, and kind of what I've explained to her about Dallas's program, how it's all encompassing with, your whole day and your whole life. It's not show up at the gym, the guy's going to tell you how to work out for an hour and you don't hear from him for a week. No, that's not what this program is. This program is really involved and personal, and she saw all the benefits of that. So that's what I'll say. So don't get discouraged if your significant other or whoever's in your corner is skeptical at first. Think about the past and things that you have promised and not delivered on, which was my problem. And maybe I delivered for a short time and then stopped as far as my health journey. And and she knows why I'm doing it, as far as we want to do another trip and carry my daughter and be able to go hiking and things like that. So she sees my why, and that hopes her be a support system. But she's definitely a support system.
Yeah. Like she could tell this time was different. I do appreciate you bringing that up too and explaining that and prefacing that, because I definitely have some clients who, like, I can name like 2 or 3 off the top of my head who are like, their wives didn't support them at first. They're starting to come around now, but it's like, you got to be honest with yourself and say, all right, well, how many times have I really gone on this journey and fell flat after a few weeks? And so of course, when I get excited about my fitness, my wife's going to be like, oh, again, like it's like, you can't always expect her to just jump on the bandwagon. You almost have to lead by example, show that it's important, prove that it's important to you first, and everybody else will kind of get on board. So I know we love to have support from the people that matter the most, and that can hurt if your wife doesn't support you. But like Chris is saying here, man, there's light at the end of the tunnel. If you can just tough it out through that first, however long, that sticking point, they're going to come around. They love you. They support you. It's just a matter of you proving that it's important to yourself first before they can trust you on that.
Exactly. And you know, and it was a worry of mine that, oh, I'm gonna have to make a meal, especially for me, and I have my wife and 2 kids, and they're gonna be making something different. I was prepared to do that. And now she's actually started tracking her stuff, and she's eating pretty much the same stuff I'm eating on a budget as well, and that's definitely helped. But you have to be ready that if it isn't like that, still I would have been making it just for me because this is my journey. I just have the benefit of her partaking in it. But it's not a necessary component to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not to say you can never like eat what your wife's eating if they weren't eating what you eat typically. But it's like what I get from that is, hey, you got to be willing to put in the work and maybe sacrifice a little bit, right? Sacrifice some things and pretty much be willing to pay the price and do what it takes. Like anything, it's not going to be easy, right? Simple, but it's not easy. Nothing worth having actually comes easy. Otherwise, everybody would be doing this stuff if it were that simple or that easy, rather. But yeah, it's not like you have to eat clean and eat chicken, rice, and broccoli 24/7 and sacrifice all the fun meals. But yeah, you got to do what it takes at the end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So if you had like one biggest piece of advice for somebody who was probably in your shoes a few months ago, like maybe feeling overworked, feeling like you didn't have the best energy, feeling like, like, man, this is really tough. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this and make the time for my health. Like, what would that piece of advice be to them? And like, why?
Honestly, I mean, it's hard to break it down. I would say just think about your health and the one life that we have. Your health is the main factor of the longevity of that, the how that's going to play out, how you're going to feel during that time. Not even about how you're going to look, but how you're going to feel overall. I would say think about how important that is and use that to kind of remove the anxieties and the feelings of can't and turn it to a feeling of can and will, because that's what you want. It's your why, and the carrot at the end of the stick is worth it for you to put in that work and to keep putting in the work. And it doesn't feel like work. I'll say, and like we were just saying, it's not that it's easy, but it's because I want what I want so bad, it makes it worth it. It makes it enjoyable. Just like they say, enjoy your time at work and you won't work a day in your life.
Right.
On the fitness journey and doing it used to feel like an obligation and used to feel oh, let me just get this in. Now no, it's like, okay, I want to get this in because I get my head clear. I'm in a totally different mental state. I'm more in tune with myself and everything going on, and it gets me going for the day. And I look forward to being in there, and I listen to music and just get in a zone. And so I would say to really truly think about the reason you're thinking about a fitness journey or why you're wanting to prioritize this, and keep that in mind the whole time while shrugging off all the negative, overwhelming thoughts that you have. Because if you don't, you're not going to start. And if you start, you're not going to finish. And if you don't finish, you're not going to keep on this journey. So I would say that really we're the only factor and the only variable that would stop us from being successful in a program like this. It is our mental, it is the lies that we tell ourselves in the way we mentally block ourselves. So the biggest thing I've learned is not listening to that, not getting overwhelmed. Like when you hear, oh, to drink a gallon of water a day, don't automatically start thinking, I can never do that. What do you mean I can't do that? You say, okay, we're gonna try. I mean, we're gonna start. Let's do it.
Right. And just lean into it, man.
Exactly. And if I'm having trouble, I reach out to Dallas and he'll walk me through it. That's how it gets started. And that's why I defer to people that are smarter than me in different aspects and have the degree and the background in this space that I need to have that benefit of while I'm on this journey. So
absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot I took from that. 3 big things. Number 1 is change your self-talk. Like you talked a lot about, like, don't use can't language, use like can language. Like, like reframe the action steps. Like, oh, this gallon of water is going to be so hard as opposed to, all right, maybe I can do this. Like, let me try it at least. Like, so changing the self-talk. Two, make sure your why is very compelling. You know, getting back to the gym and just doing it like an obligation isn't very compelling. You're not going to want to do that long term, but making sure that the good outweighs the bad in terms of what you truly want for yourself. Like you're talking about how your energy is a lot better. And like now it's something you can look forward to because you see the benefits of that. And then, damn, what was my third point? Damn, I lost it again. Third point was not the why, self-talk, why. Oh, the fact that you only get one life. It's like, yeah, it's like when you really think of it like that, it's like, why wouldn't you try to live your best life? Like at the end of the day, what do you have to lose actually trying? Even if you mess up at times and you fail and let's say you went on a weight loss journey before and you kind of gain the weight back. It's like, well, at least you put yourself in the fight. Like you tried. It's like, what's the alternative is what I'm saying here. It's like, you want to continue to like not live at your fullest potential or whatever that means to you, or, you know, whatever your goals are for you. But it's like you only get one life. Like you might as well try to make the most of it by doing stuff like this. So yeah, I appreciate that word of advice. And dude, yeah, I just want to congratulate you again for just your level of consistency, like your openness to seeing things a different way. And I definitely want to thank you for your time in terms of just talking to everybody about it. Cause it's one thing to hear from me, but I'd rather hear from somebody who actually like went through this process and, you know, people can see themselves in the situation and maybe are looking at this like, you know, damn, like what Chris is saying hit home. Like that's kind of where I am right now. Maybe I should like start get going on this type of journey. So Chris, again, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, bro.
No problem, man. If anybody wants to reach out to me, you're welcome to have them reach out to me. But that's what I would say. Just remember why you're doing it and keep on. And Dallas will definitely have a program to help you through it. And it's not something that it's just set it and forget it. He will help you and tweak you and keep in touch with you and get you there, get you started, and then just keep going. So just get out of your own way and let him help you.
Oh, appreciate the kind words, Chris. But Chris deactivated his Facebook. You can't reach out to him. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you can give him my phone number. I'll give you permission.
Oh man, that's personable. No, appreciate it again, bro.
All right, thanks, Dallas.
All right.